Yud Beis? Yud Gimel? Yeah, Yud Gimel. Wait a minute. Haisha Shamra, Nishbesi. So a similar case to the case we had last night. A woman says she was taken captive, Utorani, and she remained Torah, however. Her captors did not rape her. Menace. And this, of course, is the issue vis-a-vis a Kohen. She's believed. Because since we don't have testimony that she was taken captive, so she said so, and we believe her. That's the way it is. Whatever she says. Of course, if, however, there's independent testimony that she was taken captive, and she says, I'm Torah, she's not believed. If once she got married, witnesses came, then then she doesn't have to get divorced. In other words, if at the time she came, there are no witnesses, so then she can remain married. It's only a case where the witnesses preceded her marriage that she may not get married. Now, except that the Gemara says Rav Chuna says, even if she has not yet gotten married, but based in permitted her, they gave her the seal of approval to get married. So then, at that point, if witnesses come afterwards, we've already established her permissibility. She's allowed to go ahead and get married.
Why would Bezdin give a heter in the absence of witnesses coming?
Pesha Asa, Pesha Iter.
Yeah. No, if it's not Pesha Asa.
Yeah, it is Pesha Asa. If witnesses have not come, it's Pesha Asa, Pesha Iter.
Well, wait 1 second. We just get this straight. It says, then take this second to last case, this middle case, Yesh Edim Shenishbis.
Yeah.
He marries to Horani.
Yeah. No, that's how the case is going on. Going back on the ratio. Going back, Shomer Nishpesi Torah on the menace. We're going on that ratio. Now on the ratio, I see it. No, we're going actually on the Seifa. I understand what you're saying. The Seifa, even Shanisis Bo Edim, but the Edim did not come previously.
Okay, I
the ratio, there are two Seifas here, each modifying the ratio in a different way.
Right, but is this a Pesha Osir case, though?
Why not?
Because in Yesh Edim Shenishbis, it means not that it's a Pesha Osir.
Yeah.
Is it a Pesha Osir and then the Edim come after the Pesha Osir?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. First they have Pesha Osir, No. First it becomes Pesha Osir, Pesha Iter. So now, we have a story. The story actually appears in the Bavli, but it's much longer here in the Yerushalmi and has a much less happier ending than it does in the Bavli. It's a few longer in the Yerushalmi, it has a much less happier ending here in the Yerushalmi than it does in the Bavli. Okay, the Noshim Nishbu L'Sham. A certain woman was taken captivity from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel. So the episode came from Abba Barba, who was Shmuel's father. The Levi and take out Shmuel because it was from Shmuel's father. What they said is like this: Mosul and Edim, give them Edim that from the time they came to our jurisdiction, that nothing happened to them untoward, and Niskun La'Yisrael, the Edom go with them to Israel and testify. So Amar Lei, so they said to Shmuel's father, that's fine from here on in, but what about the days which preceded their coming to our court? We can't testify in that. So Amar Lei, Abba Barba, Shmuel's father said, if they were your daughters, would you say that? In other words, we'll do what we can. Maybe based in Eretz Yisrael, we'll accept the testimony which we provide as being sufficient to allow them, because at least for some period of time they were under jurisdiction. Which, of course, is a very strange svara, but that was his logic. That at least for these days, that where they were under jurisdiction, we'll provide them with witnesses. So it says the Gemara, Havi Kishkoge. The daughters of Shmuel, his granddaughters, were taken captive. It's like an accidental sentence issued by a ruler. In other words, Abu the Shmuel gave himself really an ayin hora. That's basically what we're saying, and therefore his own granddaughters were taken captive. Okay? So they were taken captive in the other direction, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. When Shmuel's daughters came to Tveria, to Eretz Yisrael, Salchun Shavian Imhon, their captors came with them to, ask ransom for them. So only Kumira Rabbi Chanina, the girls, the two daughters of Shmuel, went in front of Rabbi Chanina. Ukmina l'shavin l'milbar. So they asked their captors to stand outside and wait a minute. Amrulay, so they came into Rabbi Chanina and they said, Nishbenu, we're taken captive with Torah, son of a remain Torah. V'tiyon, he permitted them. Min the naf, so they have peshas and peshitir. Min the nafgon, as they were leaving, Sholchun Shivyon, or the Mashbiach changed it to Shalhin, immediately after them, Shavyon Olin, their captors came in. So obviously, had the captors come in before the girls, there would be no Peshas or Peshitir, because the captors they're not aiding, but they're just as bad as aiding, because they're coming and saying, we're holding these girls in captivity, and it's obvious that that's the case. So what Shmuel's daughters, since they were Tamidot Chachamot, what they did is they were Yoatzot, right? So they came in beforehand and they said, look, we're establishing a Peshas or Peshitir. They got dispensation, and then afterwards, the captors came in. Okay? So it says the Gemara, aha. So Rabbi Chanina says, Amar, Rabbi Chanina said, Nikoros, it's obvious, Nikoros, these women are obviously recognizable, Shebnos Chacham, that they're the daughters of a Tam B'Chacham. Mean he's doing Manhavion, what's he came where who they were. Armin l'Shimon Barba, he said to Shimon Barba, Itpa b'krivasach, deal with your relatives. Shimon Barba was a Kohen, and the Shmuel's daughters were his relatives, and he told him to deal with them. So Nasav l'Karmeis, now that's the end of the story in the Bavli. Here in the Yerushalmi goes on. So there were two daughters. He married the first one, Umisas, and she died. But Zinyani married the second one, Umisas, and she died too. Why? So says Malama, begin to Shakrun. Is it because they lied and they really were Tameh and they just lied and said they were Tar? Chas v'sholom lo Shakrun. Chas v'sholom, of course they didn't lie. Elamin Chatos, they died because of the sin of Chanani ben Achi Rabbi Yoshua, she'iber Sashana b'chutz la'aretz. Very strange Gemara. They died because of the sin of this fellow who made a leap year in Chutz La'aretz. And of course, one can only make the calendar in Eretz Yisrael. So because of that sin, they died. So of course, it's very strange. Why are they responsible for Chanina ben Achi Rabbi Yeshua? We don't even know exactly who that is, right? Who was Ma'aber Shon Chutz La'aretz. So there are a few shots in here. One shot is that they were related to this guy, and therefore descendants of him, and therefore it was a problem. But the Gra has a very cute explanation. Chasam Sofer brings it down briefly, and the Gulin Ephraim brings it down greater length. The Chasam Sofer on the bottom says that Chanai ben Achi Rabbi Yoshua, who was Ma'aber Shana Chutz La'aretz, he extended the year in which these daughters turned 3. In other words, he added another month to that year. And we know, the Gemara told us earlier in Kesuvos, that the Psulim come back for an additional month, right? If they make it a leap year. So they did have relations with their captors, but they were less than 3 years old by Hananiah's Luach. But they were more than 3 years old by the Luach used in Eretz Yisrael. So here we see that this calendar dispute actually had a ramification on whether they would be mutter to their relative Shimon Barba or not. And therefore, since in fact they thought they were mutter, but in fact they were also, and that's why they died. Which is pretty cute. Okay?
But at age 3 they still managed to bring up the issue.
A Pesha Hitter. Right. They're big Tamidot Chachamot. Okay? Says it on further. Shteina, now could be they were taken captive very young, and they, Shteina Shim Shenishbu.
And we would believe these captors. I mean, they weren't Jewish, they're robbers.
Well, we're just believing them that they took them captive. They have the,
No, I mean to say that they violated these.
Oh, they didn't say they violated them. They didn't say anything. No, we just assumed that they did. But their testimony doesn't make a difference either way. The a priori assumption is that they did violate. Right. Okay. Shtei nashim shenishbu. Two women are taken captive. Zosmer Torani, this one says I'm Tor, Zosmer Torani, and the other one says I'm Tor. Ain't on them modest, if they're witnesses, then they're not believed. So if they don't have Peshasar. However, Bisman Shemito Zu al Zu, if each one testifies that the other one is okay, Harel on them modest. In other words, on themselves not believed, but each one would be believed on the co-captive. The Chen Shnei Anoshim so to two men, Zomer Kohen Ani. With Zomer Kohen Ani, each one says I'm a Kohen, Enim Ne'emonim, they're not believed. Bisman Shemidim Zeh Zeh, each one says they're a Kohen, not believed. However, if they testify about each other, Harel on them money, that gives them credibility. Okay? Rabbi Chia, B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan said, Masnisli and Kotchek Vu. That which you believe them in terms of each one testifying that the other guy is a Kohen is only to let them eat Truma. Aliyim Mishpachah, but in terms of considering them to be a proper family of Kohanim, Ulekotchim is back in order to Kotchim, Tzarech Shnei Edim, you have to have two witnesses on wherever you want to make a Kohen. Says more about Tani, you say this and we learn, Mali the Kula Levil Yisrael, and make a person a Kohen, a Levi, or Yisrael. Apiyed Echot, based on one witness. Says more, Nichol Lakuna Levil, I understand what Kuna means in that brisa. Kuna means to make him a Kohen for Truma and all that. But Levil Yisrael, Apiyed Levil Yisrael Piyed Echot. Levil Yisrael Piyed Echot. How does that work? I'm sorry. The Levil Yisrael. How does that work? I went back a line. Veloli Mishpacha. It must be. Is it not in order matters of family? And we see that in matters of family, one witness is sufficient, right? So even for Mishpacha, one witness is sufficient, because otherwise, what are we talking about Yisrael? What privilege are you granting him? So there's one no. It's the Glite Lo Meiser Oni. In fact, there are certain privileges by Levi and even in Yisrael. The privileges are to get Meiser Rishon, and for Yisrael to get Meiser Oni. So that which you believe one witness is in order to give Meiser Truma, Meiser Rishon, or Meiser Oni. But in order to make somebody miyuchos, if there's any doubt or any issue about that, so to make somebody Kohen, that you might need to wait. Now it says there are two things, two behaviors, which if you've been doing it for a while, it fundamentally establishes you as a Kohen in Eretz Yisrael. They are Nesius Kapayim, Duchening, and Chiluk Gronas going to the distribution points in the silos and collecting Truma crop. Now, this is true in Eretz Yisrael. However, in Syria, Nesius Kapayim is a proof, because the only Duchening and Chutzar is also limited to the Kohanim. Avalo Chiluk Gronas, but not the getting distribution in the silos. The reason being because since it's Chutzar, people are more makel. Now, ad makom sheshluchei chodesh magin, that to the place where the emissaries from Yerushalmi would come every month to say that there was Rosh Chodesh, in other words, 15 days from Eretz Yisrael, approximately. So there, in that area, Nesias Kapayim, the fact that people are duchening, is a proof that they are Kohanim. And the reason why this is so is because the Mepharshim say is because in those areas there are Batei Din to receive testimony about Kiddush HaChodesh. So the Batei Din also would not let a Kohen duchen unless they were sure he's a Kohen, right? If there's a basin there, they're in charge, right? And that's Ad Nimrin. That goes up to the place called Nimrin. Ubavel Kasuria, but Bavel, which is beyond 15 days journey, is like Surya, and there's no ride from the Siyas Kapayim because there's no set Bati Din. Rabbi Shimon is also there. Alexandria, even Alexandria, when the court sat there, so then on the Siyas Kapayim, Duchening would be proof that this guy is a Kohen, because obviously Basin is checking it out. Okay. Says there is a basin there. Just like a truma means eating truma or receiving truma means somebody is going. So to Ma'aserishan proves somebody is a Kohen. Now this is a little bit of a dispute between everybody else in the Shari Torah and Eretz Yisrael. Where everybody else learns that this is going like the Bavli, which says that when the days of Ezra, the Levim didn't go up to Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, as they're finding that they lose the Meiser Rishon, the Meiser Rishon goes instead to the Kohanim, who are also a subdivision of Shevet Levi. So if you see Bizman Hazeh, you see somebody getting Meiser Rishon, Mistama, he's a Kohen. That's one way to explain it. However, the Shai Torah Yisrael actually changes the Girsa here, because he says we never find this Knas, which is mentioned prominently in the fourth paragraph of Kiddushin, in the Bavli, mentioned the Yerushalmi. And everyone said this Knas that Ezra find that all the Ma'aser Rishon should go to the Kohanim too, the Yerushalmi does not hold of it. And rather, the way he wants to learn the Gemara is Kashem Truma Chazaka Lakuna Kach Ma'aser Rishon Chazaka Lilaviyah. In other words, remember we had way back yonder in the ninth parak of Vilna, Shita, that Leviim also have to have a certain degree of kedusha in order to eat Ma'aser Rishon, right? They can't have certain psulei mishpacha. So that's what this Gemara is saying. That and for Levi, to prove that he's a Levi, that you need to have certain safeguards in order to give him Ma'aser Rishon, in order that he should be allowed to eat it. Okay, we don't pass that way. Actually, pass Ma'aser Rishon, anybody can eat, but nevertheless, there was such an opinion. Okay, says the Gemara. Somebody divides up based on in other words, they inherited an estate from their father or from their grandfather was a Kohen. I guess the father is already predeceased. So when they split it up, or maybe he's one of the players. So when they split it up, so then the fact that somebody gets a portion of the estate is not a right as a Kohen. Even if he gets Truma as his portion. Why is that? Because it's entirely possible he took it and intends to sell it afterwards, right? Because he inherited it and now he might sell it. So that's what it says here. Somebody divides up property based on basin. It's not about chazak for kuna. I say Truma nafalomi avi Kohen. He's getting this Truma because it felt him as a Yerusha. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel said, "Miyomai loyalty edus." I never testified. Once I testified and I learned my lesson. I made an evidence in Zulkoe. Now the Bobby says I almost did it. Didn't quite happen. I was saved by the bell at the last moment. How did this happen? Rabbi Yitzchak, it doesn't say, does it? Anyway, but he testified that this was a coin because they saw him gathering grain at the silos. And we know only Kohanim can gather grain at the silos. Yes, but that's only true if they're Kohanim vis-a-vis Yisrael. But the Avodim of the Kohanim can go on behalf of the Kohanim and go and gather grain. So that was his mistake, that he almost mistook the effort of a coin for a coin himself. Right? Says Gemara, Rabbi Yitzchak ben Chakul Amar, Rabbi Shimba Rebbe, there's a word missing here. It should be Rabbi Yitzchak ben Chakul Amar Rebbe. Rebbe or Rita Nasi, Rabbi Shimba Rebbe, and Rabbi Shimba Rebbe, his son. One allowed a brother, based on his brother's testimony, to become a Kohen. He allowed the testimony of a father and a son to prove somebody is a Kohen. Or actually, one of these capitals is Kuna, we don't know which one. But and one of them is Levi. Again, we don't know which one. Chad Barnash Asa Gabi the Rebbe. Certain individual came from the Rebbe. He said, B'ni Huzeh v'Kohen hu. So he said, this kid who I have with me is my son, and he's a Kohen. Amar lei. So Rebbe said back to him, Bincho, I believe is your son, but ain't a Kohen. He doesn't become a Kohen. Even though you're a Kohen, I don't give him your credibility to make a Kohen. Amar Rebbe said the great, if you believe that it's his son, then believe him that his kid is a Kohen. If you don't believe that his kid is a Kohen, how tell me to Shuba no? Don't believe that it's kid. So how do you divide the into two? That you can believe that it's the kid, but you can't believe that what?
Right. So one's like an automatic of the other.
Right. You can believe it's kid, but you can't believe it's modified coin. What?
Should be double or nothing.
Oh, you're saying good. The Gemara refutes you. Amar Leis, he said, but no, the contrary, I believe it's his son. How do you know he's a kosher Kohen? Could be that his mother was a chalola, right? Ravi and Rabbi Avin said, Achin Amar Lo. This is how he said to him. Im Amino Achu Beno. This is what Rechia said. If you believe it's his son, Aminu Shul Kohen, believe it's Kohen. If you don't believe that he's a Kohen, Al Tami Shul Beno, don't believe it's his son. And that should make it better. So the Edus, then it'll create a distance between them, meaning that it should no longer be considered to be his father, right? And he should be believed to say it's a Kohen. If you believe him, it is his son, so you should believe that it's his son, the Kohen. If it's not his son, so you should believe to say, that it is a Kohen, even though he's not his son. Like not Peshos, but Pagin and Dibura. Let's cut his statement in half, right? We'll say that we believe it's not a Kohen, but not his son. So it says, Gemara, Amalosei said, but no, you misunderstand. Of course I can see that it's his son. Elani Omer ben Grusha ben Chalutza, who I believe, I'd say that he was a sign of an improper wife. Lochen Amar Yitzchak Chalkula. So it says, no, wait a minute. Then Rabbi Yitzchak Chalkula say that, again, should say a Rebbe, V'Rabbi Shimon Rebbe. Rabbi Shimon Rebbe. Bukhare Allah Achapi Achiv. One made a brother a Kohen based on his brother's testimony. For Charana Allah Bemi Piavi, the other made a son a Kohen based on the father's testimony. But here it says Rebbe didn't allow it to happen, right? He barred the testimony of the father's son. So it's a contradiction. So it says more interesting distinction. And I don't fully understand it. I don't even claim to partially understand it. But I can translate it. It says the Gemara, Neima, let's say like this. Mishael Rebbe Achmed Pi Achiv. Rebbe, of course, would not take the testimony of a father and son that his son was a Kohen. But once Rebbe took the testimony from a brother, Afilu Tamar Ben Mipiaviv, then he believed even a father on a son, but only for Leviah, not for Kuhuna. So it's an interesting thing the Gemara is saying. The Gemara is saying that you believe a father and a son vis-a-vis Leviah, where they're relatively minor ramifications and relatively minor psulim. There's only one major psul in Levi, which is the mamzer. And the other psul is not going to render him unfit to be good to eat meiser, right? Even going those who have meiser of some degree of kedusha. But by Kohen, there are many more things which can possible, including ben Grusha ben Chalutza. So therefore, by Kohen, I do not believe a father and a son. What I do believe, the Gemara says, and I'm not sure why exactly the difference, is a brother on a brother. That I do believe. A brother can say his brother's a Kohen, but a father can't say his son. So I don't know why exactly the difference is. Like the Cantor, the Maggid Mishnah says that there's a migo here. That if he's testifying about if he's testifying that this kid is his son, then he's also simultaneously to say, and it's my son who's a Kohen. If we didn't know that this person was a Kohen, this kid. But if we knew, it's besides because we knew already the kid was the opposite. It's if we didn't know that the kid was a son, and then this guy testifies, we didn't know this kid was the son, and then this guy testifies that it's his son, and that he's a Kohen, so we believe it with amigo. Immediately we're going to believe that this is his son, we also believe that it's his son, the Kohen, right? But we already knew that it was his son. We just didn't know if it was a Kohen or not, so in that case we don't believe him. We don't give him credibility, because we knew already details without his telling us. I don't understand what I just said. I know what I said, and I'll say it, and I can say it again. Rabbi Maggid says that where Migo, when he's testifying this is his son, which was hitherto unknown to us. So since he's believed to say it's his son, he's also believed to say his son is a Kohen. When he's testifying the son, which is already known to us that the son is a Kohen, he's not believed to make the kid a Kohen. So in any event, that's based on a Gemara. That would depends we said before that you not believe on his son to say he's a Kohen, but you are believed to say it's your brother. Your brother's a Kohen. So it must be that there's some dichotomy here between
What I could think of the dichotomy is that a brother testifying about his brother, he's not so involved in it, so why should he make up a story?
Yeah.
A father is much more involved that his son be considered a Kohen. So he's more nogea b'davar. So you wouldn't believe the father testifying on
Maybe that's it. In any event, it's not clear to me. It's a choppy kind of sort, but somehow something like that must be the case. Okay, let's do the Mishnah further. Rabbi Yehuda, top of Yudam Aleph. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ein malin lakuna piyedecha." You can't make somebody a coin based on a witness. Amrei Lazar said, "On the side, it's only when is that true? Bisman sheyesh makom sheyesh orin with the vilu kain shkiako coin. Give me a break. Then you need to. Amakom sheyesh orin, but there's nobody's complaining. Malkuna piyedecha, one witness suffices." Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Shimon ben Eskan says, "Malin lakuna piyedecha." You can make somebody a Kohen based on one witness. Okay? So if you have one witness, that's sufficient to make a guy a Kohen. As long as there's no complaint. Rabbi Chia b'Shem Rabbi Yehuda said, "In our opposition, complaint means two people come to complain in court." Rabbi Chia asked, "Manake, what are we talking about? Imishahelu also be'echot, if they brought him up with one witness, so then Yerido so be'echot. Take him down to one witness. In Michelle also if you put him up with two witnesses, if he as a Kohen, if you come over, so there are many witnesses. That's Trey Umeya. It's the same thing, right? He's got two witnesses on the side. So it says, Rav Huna says, Rav Huna, as the Rabbanan Tamam is going like the rabbis over there. The rabbis over there are the ones who said that once we established, this is really what we learned earlier today by Shavuot as well, that once we established a heter, even though later on there's contrary evidence, we remain with the heter, the thing which was made permissible. So here we say also, so here we said that once we made him a Kohen, based on what? Well, or on two witnesses, right? So we don't take him down again, right? They hold that you do take a guy back down again if two other witnesses come. We make a trade. So the Shem Shemayim also b'shnayim, just say you put him up with two, Kachmein also b'shnayim, so too you take him down with two. Okay? So you according to them, it's like they said back in the previous case, in Nisei State say, for woman got married in a case where two people said she was divorced, two people said she wasn't divorced, so it's machlokas whether she has to get divorced or not. So if you hold over there, she doesn't have to get divorced. So then here also, even if witnesses come,
leave him as a Kohen.
Leave him as a Kohen, right.
Offsetting penalties.
Offsetting penalties, right. But if you hold over there, right, then it makes sense, then it's consistent. That's what we're saying.
What if it's one witness originally said he's a Kohen, and two come and say he's not?
Oh, so that's a big machlokas between the Bavli and Yerushalmi, actually. Although not that specific case. The Yerushalmi holds if one witness came and said he's a kosher Kohen, and then another witness came, no matter what, we take him down. The Bavli holds that once, if we believe one witness in court, so then he has the validity of two, and therefore you can't take him down afterwards. Even if another witness comes, they don't cancel each other out. Which is...
Yeah.
Okay, similar to what you're asking. Okay. Says the Gemara, says the Mishnah further. Woman was taken captive by Goyim, one of the saddest Mishnahs in Shas. She was taken captive by Goyim a day moment for monetary purposes, by bandits. Muteres Baal, we say they're not going to rape her, it drives down her value. For Jewish bandits, what are they concerned with? Bottom line, right? So if, however, people took her captive were like armies, and they were concerned with killing people, so then she's been done because they're afraid to save her life, she succumbed to her captors. Karkoma city which is laid siege to, all the quantities in the city are psulos for the husband because we assume they're all raped. If they're witnesses that they weren't raped, afilu evet, even if it's a slave, afilu shivcha, a female slave, harelu them money, they're believed to say that their mistresses were not raped. Shein odam ne'eman de atzmo. There's not believed on themselves, but other people are believed upon them. Amar Yitzchak ben Akatzer took an oath by Amona, said by this hostel of a Kodesh Baruch Hu, by the Beis Hamikdash. When Yerushalmi was conquered, lo zelza yodim mitoch yodi. We never didn't part hands. From time the Goyim and Yerushalayim until they left. So therefore, my wife she muttered to me, right? Despite the fact that it was a siege. As there's Gemara, they said, you can't testify about yourself. You're testifying for your own benefit. That you should be mutter to your wife. We don't believe you. Okay? Talmud Tanina. It's over there. Hey, Rabbi Yossi HaKohen, Rabbi Yisrael ben HaKatzav. They both testified, Al Tinoka Shehurah Ba'ashkelon. A young girl was given as a mashkon on a loan. She was given as collateral loan. Never. Right? Then she was distanced by member of family because we assumed that she was, there's hanky banking going on. But even though her witnesses testify that she was not secluded with a guy, below nitma, and it's because if Adam came and testified that Shlonisra she was never secluded, below nitma, she didn't come to time, she's okay. So it says in Marfisha, Adam most Shlonitma. Sounds like the only reason she's okay is because witnesses testify she was okay. Them eating most Shlonistra, but witnesses don't come. Low! So she's not off the hook. Why is that? In this case, it's about money. So if it's about money, so let her off the hook, they don't rape. It says Rabbi Lezer said, Shani, there it's different. Be Hirun, since they took her as collateral. Sharavi Nogin Boheter. Since the thieves took her as collateral, so they're going to make, use of her. So,
even though her value will go down?
Yeah, because collateral means they, Ba'chov Kata Mashkon. The creditor acquires the mashkon, so they figure they can play around with it.
Especially if he didn't pay back the loan.
Right. I didn't push this asura. There's an issue of a mortal danger, then she's forbidden. Rabbi, it's a famous Gemara in the Bavli, the Yerushalmi that's bringing down here. The famous Gemara says the barrels of wine are all mutter. Right? We don't make them yain nesach, but the women are all usher. So the famous Gemara says, I forget the exact language, but it says, what's the Gemara there, Eli? Do you remember the Gemara Kesuvos? What it says, L'nasach yesh pnai, ain't pnai? Yeah. Forget the exact language. It's a famous Gemara. L'nasach, there's no time, but for the women, there's always time. So for the wine, there's no time, but the women, they can always they'll find the time. So name it. Says the Gemara, I didn't push the surah. Said, it's only if they actually threatened to put it to death. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, even if she wasn't threatened to be put to death, Lamaisa, she's in danger. She senses danger, so she's ready also because she'll succumb under those circumstances to save her life. So even though pronouncement was meted out against her, we assume that she became a dummy.
Even if she doesn't succumb, she was in a nusa.
Yeah, we're talking about vis-a-vis kohanim here. We're not talking about vis-a-vis a husband necessarily. Says more Eishes Listim. I'm Rabbi Shem Rabbi Yochanan. His name Rabbi Yochanan. Eishes Listim, the wife of a bandit who's been put to death, judged to be put to death by her captors, is Kalistim, is as if she was the bandit, meaning she'll be Moser herself in order to try and save her husband. So in that case, we assume that she had relations as well. Where they pronounce the death penalty on her husband. On her husband, we assume she was Mizana also in order to try and get her husband off the hook. So in that case, she also becomes usher. Okay? Ezu Karko, who's considered to be a siege which actually comes and rapes. Rapes and pillages. Right? Rabbi Baba Shem Rabbi Chia Barashi said Kigon, such as it should be here the Kormei changes out to Zvagin. They bring large musical instruments, things which make large sound. Shalshilos and chains, Vikvolim and cables, Vavozim and geese, Vitanigolim and hens, and it should be Astrutos and soldiers, Mekifin Asir, and they surround the city. You remember why they bring the hens and all that kind of stuff? It's like when Manuel Noriega was held prisoner in Panama in one of the, when the United States staged a coup under Reagan, so they held him in prison. No, he was cooped up in an embassy, right? So what they do, they try to wage psychological warfare by blaring loud music at him, right? So that's part of the siege. You blare loud music at the people in the siege in order to try them out. That's right, with Koresh also. So that's a case. Mekivin has Sair. They surround the city, and that's a case where they're actually there. It's really dangerous, and potentially we assume that they raped everybody. However, there's a heter here. Rabbi Shem Rabbi Chaim Rasher said, "Maisa is a Maisa with a certain siege of this sort. And one woman who was blind fled the city. In this case, we say that all the women are mutter. Why? Because if somebody could get out, that means it was not behechrech, was not necessary that they actually were subject to rape. Okay, so that's an out. If it's one beach in the city walls to which women could slip out, Martellus is called all the women are mutter. If there was also to be machbuya, not machbuyim, if there was a hiding place. Tricha, then it's a shiloh, we don't know, because hiding places, maybe they're good, maybe they're not good, so therefore not sure if she would give herself up or not. Rabbi Zir, Rabbi Baba, after Rabbi Vilna said, it's only talking about where the siege is laid by your own king. Where the siege laid by another king, they're like bandits, meaning they're here for the money and they're afraid to stay around and take their time and rape and pillage. So therefore, in that case, we give them the status of Kagashos Malchus. We give them the status of Asuros, but of Kagashos Malchus Acheres, they remain Mutoros. Now, it said in Mishnah that as long as they have a witness who testified they were not telling me, they're okay. Says Mar, I feel caught, is not even a child. Right? Yerushalmi say, yes, I feel caught, and I feel karov. Even a child, even a relative. I feel caught, and karov. Even if it's a double problem. See, with some youngsters also related, that's enough in order to prevent there from being any problems. The Shemina dots learn out from here. Chananya Kartise, whatever his name is. Ishtaboy was taken captive. Who, he, Ubanei, and his sons, Vitasah, and his wife. So they came around all and said they were Tor. V'lo Kabuni didn't accept him. Yerushalmi Levi accepted them. Why? Can't because of the husband. We said he don't accept the husband's testimony. Hadamras teaches us Hafilu Katan V'Karov, even a child or a relative is believed to testify that no tumah took place. This is kind of like a parenthetical remark, although we'll come back. Rabbi decided to say, send a servant for a certain woman to come to court. Amar, so he said, let's send 3 Talmidei Chachamim to accompany her. Why? If one that goes to the bathroom, to attend his needs, she'll be secluded with 2, which is okay. Then we learn in Masechta Soita that if you accompany the Sot herself to Yerushalayim, Mosin Lo Shnei Talmidei Chachamim, you give to the husband 2 Talmidei Chachamim to accompany him. Shema Yavo Lea B'derech. Maybe they'll have relationships around the way. So we see only need 2 and not 3. Rabbi Avin said no. By law, by the Sota, the 2 Talmidei Chachamim and her husband who's accompanying her. Hareish Losha, that's 3. So we always need 3. But Afus is going back to Rabbi Chaim and Akatov. And this is his tragic story in the Mishnah, right? That he lost his wife because of the Takar of the Rabbana. So that's more, he wouldn't give up. He rented for a house, Vuma, where she lived, Vuma Alam Mazonas, and he would feed, and he supported her, and they lived in the same courtyard, but for Loyam Siachli Mar El Bifnei Boneh. They would only spend time together in front of her children. So in other words, he didn't want to divorce her. I guess he, love conquers all, but he couldn't have relations with her. He couldn't even be secluded with her. So therefore, he set it up in a way that they could live in the same courtyard without actually, coming close to each other. Yeah. He said about himself, "Hapasuk Gazeh." He said, "Yogati ban chasi." I toiled in my sorrow when Yerushalayim was, being destroyed, to keep my wife above water, so to speak. Mutter to me, but did not find respite, because in the end they answered her to me anyway. Okay. Says more further. Mishnah further. These are the following people that believe testify in their adult years what they saw when they were children. A person believes to say Zeksav Yodo Shalab, this is my father's handwriting. Zeksav Yodo Shalab, this is my Rebbe's handwriting. Zeksav Yodo Shalach, this is my brother's handwriting. Zochani Beish's point, remember that so-and-so woman, she went out with a veil, Rosha Parua, or her head was, uncovered, so she must have been a Psula. And certain so-and-so used to leave school, leave Bohol, to go to the Bekoti Truma, must be he's a Kohen. So that he would distribute us in the silo. And that this place is a base of pras. The base of pras means, of course, that there might potentially be a kever underneath here, right? This is the extent of Tchum Shabbos 2,000 amos. A person not directly believed to testify about something which occurred when he was a child, if it's a matter of Choshen Mishpat. He's not believed to say so-and-so had a road here. Nor Mamad or Misped Hayelish Polymogosen, nor the privilege of delivering Mamodas and Hespedos in this place, because that will cause a loss, because the family which now owns it will have to relinquish it, so in that he's not believed. Okay? Says the Gemara, Tani, we learned to the Brisa about Dvarim Shiur Gilim Bohem, but Shiur Gilim Bohem. The child is only believed to corroborate his father's signature if he was accustomed to seeing his father's signature all the time, right? Says the Gemara, V'chash Lamar Shema Evedu. So this is going back to the case of our Mishnah. We said that if you saw so and so coming out of a Beis Sefer to go dunk and go eat truma, he must be a Kohen, right? Wait a minute, maybe he's the Eved of a Kohen. Maybe he's the slave of a Kohen, right? Chasham Hashem Eved, who can eat truma as well. There's a sister which are Charabok said named Rabbi Yisrael. No, he was in Beit Sefer. He was in Beit Sefer. Wait a minute. How can you say Eved's not allowed to learn Torah? Located Rabbi Zir, B'Shem Rabbi Yirmiyah, Eved, Oilam, Meshiva Kriyos. You can give him an Eved and Aliyah. And besides that, he said, which is not relevant to our discussion, we need to put 3 psukim together in order to make an aliyah. More counts. But in any event, so it says, we see that an Eved is allowed to learn Torah. You're not allowed to teach him, he's allowed to learn on his own. Or Shalimdo Rabbo Katevi, or he was a special Eved who got special dispensation, like Tavi Aldo Shurang got special dispensation to learn. Eliezer, right, but that was from on Torah, so I don't know if we bring it right from there. Says the Gemara, what about the other case? And so if you remember that when he was young, he used to gather with you at the silo to collect truma, so then it means he's a Kohen. Same problem, Chashtam Hashem Evedu, maybe it's a slave. Messiah leader Tani Rabbi Chia, so Sister Rabbi Chia said, Noshim Avodim, women and slaves, ain't a chokim agoin, they can't go to the silos unless they're accompanied by their masters. But you can give them the gifts given to a Kohen or to a Levi. Mitoch buys from within the house. What about to take money as a result of their testimony? Can we do that? Can we actually take money from as a result of their testimony? In other words, is there, when their testimony is gedolim and something happens to ketanim, do they have credibility actually to tzas mammon? So it says more very, how so? They're not testifying about mammon. So especially when they testify about money, at the end of the mission, they're not believed. So what are you talking about? That's a more cool case. Really cool case. Says the Gemara, I'll give you a case. How does it work? Everybody knows up to Reuven's field is Tchum Shabbos. But nobody remembers which is Reuven's field. There's a Messiah that Reuven's field denotes the end of Tchum Shabbos. But nobody remembers where Reuven's field is. It says the Gemara, if the guy remembers, this guy remembers, and they said, Shabbos used to come here on Shabbos is the limit. And this field comes out to be Shimon's. Can you take it away from Shimon and give it back to Reuven or not? The Gemara doesn't answer such a question. Of course, you knew the Yerushalmi is not going to answer the question. The question is whether we say Pagin and Dibura, right? Or do we say Pagin and Dibura? Do we say we accept this entire statement and therefore it becomes Reuven's field? Do we say we accept the statement that Tchum Shabbos goes up here, but we don't accept the statement that was Reuven's field? Okay? So that's Machlokas. So it says the Gemara.
That's strange though. Usually Pagin and Dibura is because Enon Meslas from Russia, and therefore.
Right, there's be a different type of Pagin and Dibura.
Yeah.
Because he's a cotton. A cotton is the same thing though. Since as a cotton, he wouldn't be believed. Well, it's not exactly the same thing because he's a cotton and all parts of business.
The idea of Enon Meslas from Russia means there's a basis for blotting out part of the testimony.
But here maybe there shouldn't be.
There's no basis for it.
Right. Well, I just use that word for carbonator. Maybe that's not literal. Okay.
Yeah, that's Why should we? Why should we say we'll accept this and not accept that?
Bottom line.
Maushin their money, Lomar, Yotami Laki Parishes, are they believed to tell over a story where they went out and they were collecting fruit on Shemitah? B'Shaman, and they said they heard Pliny Memala Pliny Sishto, so and so was talking about this mumbling about so and so's wife. Risha Planis Memala Sabanel, so and so woman was mumbling about her children. Now this is a very interesting question. You know, the Sameach points out, he says, what are they testifying? They're testifying that her husband mumbled about his wife. That's acceptable in the court of law. That's hearsay. It's gossip. So the Rosh Hashanah says they're testifying that he was Shavi Anapshi Chaticha D'Isura. That he was mumbling about his wife and saying, man, my wife is awesome to me. So that they're coming basically saying he's Shavi Anapshi. And there's a machlokas in the Paiskim, if Shavi Anapshi, he has to have his excuse. Why, if he wants to get out of his Shavi Anapshi, or he can just automatically leave Shavi Anapshi and say, no, I was just kidding. So he says it's here to raya that you need some sort of proof. Because here it says they're believed. What does it mean they're believed? He denies it. That's all you need. No, if they can testify to Shavi and Nafshi, he has to bring some sort of legitimate excuse like we had yesterday to get himself out of it. Okay? And similarly the same thing about a woman. She must have been complaining that she became a zona or something like that by her episode, and therefore she has to be compensated for therefore, when the Adim come and say they heard her mumbling something about her being a zona, and that's why that's what they testified in court. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel boy. Rabbi Shmuel asked, "Who's mu? What did these guys come hate him zomim? They're only testifying about saying they store in their youth. Ma'osh yeshli yishalmu, they have to pay." Like any other Zervim. Oh, yay, but let's say concern this. Kaida Mar Yehuda b'Shem Shul, like this is the name Shul. Ein lom din davar midavar, Beidim Zomim. When clouds traveling from one case to another case, it's simply not a regular case of Beidim Zomim. The Kokain Tani says the Gemara of the Kokain here to the same thing. Tani is the new thing. B'shalchanu b'ktzitzas ploni and ploni. The older witnesses are believed to say that in the youth they ate at the ktzitza of so and so. What's the ktzitza of so and so? Ma'u b'ktzitzah b'shar she'adam mocher so. When a person used to sell the field which he inherited, so then hayukrovim memalin chavios kloyos, the relatives would fill up barrels full of toasted grain, vergozim and nuts, v'sholiv ne'tinokos, and they would break this barrel in front of the kids, like the Latin American piñata, I think it's called, right? V'tinokos malaktim, and the kids would gather. Finally, they'd say, "Oh, Nick starts planning me achuzos," so they make a party. So everybody had to know the plani was cut off from his inheritance. Very strange party. Anyway, chazer plani achuzos. So when he used to buy it back, Hayu Osim came. They would do the same thing. Chazer plani achuzos. He went back. So it was like a publicity thing. Rabbi Yisrael said, so he married a woman who's not suited for him, I guess, halachically. They make these barrels, because they make it from the kids. Not tinokos malaktim, when the kids gather, but then they say, niktas planim mishpachto. He was cut off from his family. When he used to divorce her, they would do the same thing. But they would say, Chazar planning the mishpachto. They would make a happy divorce day. Then he went back to his family. So they're believed when they're adults to say that they saw this take place from their children. Now, we're going to stop here, but I just realized maybe this Gemara is a source for throwing stuff at the chassan at the time of his ufruf. We don't actually throw it at him. We're throwing the candies for the kids. It could be that it comes down to the minute katzitza. The flaw in that is here they only did it for a chassan who married somebody who wasn't befitting him, and we do it for all chassanim. Maybe there's a Musar Haskell there, but we'll leave that alone for this evening.